next book, and like,
you always want to do better. And I mean, I had to tell myself this the other day, like working on my book, and I had to say to myself, look, there's nothing wrong with wanting it to be better than what you've done before. You should always want to be improving yourself and being
yeah,
moving beyond your past.
absolutely, and that's kind of what I do as an editor too. Is like I try to push my authors to challenge themselves with every book that
Yeah.
we work on together, because to stay static and to stay in the same space, I don't know, like it can work, and your readers might love you for it. But I just think as an author, or at least the authors that I want to work with, like let's challenge ourselves, right? Let's
Mm.
grow a little bit. Let's like move something a little further. And I try to do the same thing with myself. Like my first and second book are completely, they're very different.
They are.
Um,
They're complete. They are completely different.
yeah.
Like I think if you walk into a bookshop, good intentions. I don't know. I know if you go on like Waterstones, whether they'll put it like romance, contemporary
Hmm.
fiction, whereas Who Will Remain is more, I don't know, literary, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a little bit literary. It's like edgier and darker,
Yeah.
and sharper as well. So they're very different. They're very different.
Coming of
And I
age, I don't know, but yeah, they are different. But I think that's
yeah,
a
I
good
mean, like,
thing to be.
yeah, I like the next thing that I'm working on is also completely different, and who knows if it will get published? I don't know, but I just wanted to work on it, and for a little while, I sort of thought, but what do people expect of me? And then I was like, I just don't care what people expect of me. Like, what do I expect of me? And what I
Yeah.
expect of me is to challenge myself and to grow and to be better and to write about the things that are like really important to me. And if that's what I'm doing, well, then everything else can wait, right? Everything else can like come down the line at some point, whenever. But for now, it's got to be about what brings me like joy
Yeah.
and yeah, yeah.
Well, if you had to sit, I mean, it's one thing doing I'm trying to say it in a way that doesn't sound like you're doing your job, but it's one thing doing your job as an editor. But
Mm.
if you're doing your other job as a writer and you're sitting there in front of your whatever you're sitting there in front of your laptop or a notepad and pen, and you're sitting there for hours, it has to be giving you some kind of joy. I mean, obviously, there's going to be the pain when you can't get the words out, because that's just writing life. But overall, the fact that you're working on this story and it's a story that you want to tell, it has to be giving you joy in some capacity.
Yeah, and I feel personally, even in the pain points where and for me the pain is, and I don't know if this is your experience too, the difficulty is never necessarily about, oh, I can't write something. It's just about like, oh, I've got this vision of something in my head,
Yeah.
and like it's not feeling that way when I'm writing it. It's like, and what I always find is when I'm in that moment, I just have to write through it, because I always just think, well, you know what, those 1,000 words are probably the most terrible words ever written. Who cares? I'll cut them out when I come back,
Yeah. No,
reshape
honestly,
them, make them better.
but sometimes I think that's sometimes the best advice like you can give someone. Just write through it. It's like kind of like write through the pain, and then you go back to it and you might look back at it and think, actually, this wasn't so bad. Or look back and think, no, this is terrible. It needs to go. But you're
And
not
but then
losing anything from yourself.
absolutely, absolutely. You just have to, I
Mm.
think people can get some writers can be very like perfection oriented about stuff. So
Mm,
they want every paragraph and every page and every chapter to read a very specific way before they move on. And when I meet those writers, I just think, oh, that would stress me out so much, because like if I'm
yeah,
constantly thinking about, does this paragraph feel right? I'm never going to finish the book. To me, it's got to be just like right at the speed, whatever speed you want to write at, but like finish it. And then go back and see if it fits the vision you had in your head. And if it doesn't, well, then maybe the one question you should ask is, um, does it have to fit the vision I had in my head, or did it change along the way? Did
yeah,
something change in me along the way? But like once you've figured that out, then just start editing, start cutting. I mean, like there are so many writers I know who are like, "Oh God, I would never cut this thing," and I'm like, "Oh no, to me, I'm cutting everything. I don't care. Like if I can, if I'm making this better through cutting, I'm happy with that, because
yeah.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, if it's gonna make the book better, why not?"
I know it does take a while to get there, even if you're a seasoned writer and your editor. And it's like I know my editor. She knows what she's doing. She does know what she's doing. But when they make that first suggestion of you need to cut this, you're like, how dare you? What do you mean I need to cut it?
It's
Like,
so funny because maybe it's my background in editing, but if somebody tells me to edit something, what I feel then is like an engagement with the work. So I'm like, oh my God, you like read it. And not only did you read it, but you thought about
oh
it
no,
and
I
have
ain't
fixed
thinking that
it.
at all.
Oh,
except after, except once I've like, I have to work my way around it. And then when I'm like, okay, I've tried to keep it in 2, 3, 4 times, and I'm like, no, it needs to go. And I'm like, okay, you're right. It just something, sometimes it takes you a little while to get there,
no,
to
that's
be on
fair.
the same page.
We've all got different relationships with it. I think it's just my background as an editor. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I just, I'm so collaborative as an editor. I love the engagement with the work and like just
Yeah.
sitting there and being in it. So I love being edited. Yeah, absolutely.
Before I ask you about Who Will Remain, how did your family respond to the fact that you were a writer? Did you tell them? Or did you just say, when the book's published, I have a book?
No, so they kind of knew, but I I'm gonna paint them in such a bad way here, but it's kind of the truth, so that kind of has to stand on its own.
Yeah.
They just didn't care. They just were like, yeah, whatever, you just do this little thing, fine. And I have this like very foundational memory, this foundational memory, which maybe colored my relationship with my parents and my writing, which was I was handwriting when I was like 10 or 11, like a book about a precocious kid who was like too smart for his own good or whatever. Very Jimmy Neutron. I don't know if you ever watched that
Yeah.
cartoon. Anyway, and I was sort of writing it, so I was like handwriting it every evening before I went to bed. I would write like a page, and so there was a pile of these pages on my desk. And my mom, one day, she's a very antsy, restless person, and if she gets very restless, she will just start cleaning things that she should not clean. And so she
I
came
know what you're
into
going to say.
yeah, she came into me and my brother's room and cleaned, and she like moved things around. And me and my brother came home and we were like, oh, mom's at it again. She's like moved all these things. So we're like moving them back. And I'm sort of looking around and I'm like, where are my pages? And I'm like opening drawers. And she hasn't put them in any drawers. I'm like looking underneath the bed. I'm like looking everywhere. And so I go downstairs and I'm like, hey, mom, like there were these pile of pages on my desk. Where are they? And she's like, I threw them away. I was like,
Oh,
what? And I cried. I remember
oh,
crying. And she
nice.
like, yeah, she didn't understand why I was crying. She was like, didn't they need to go in the bin? I was like, no, that was like my work. And she was like, it was your homework. And I was like, no. I was like, the stuff I was writing. And she was like, oh, your doodles. Yeah, I threw them in the bin. And I was like, no. And I couldn't get her to understand that like I was working on something. And then after that, I like just did not engage with anybody in my family about my writing because I was like, they just see it as doodles that like get thrown into the bin. Um, and then I didn't tell them about the rejections. I didn't tell them about any of it. I only told my parents, and this is so funny. At least I find it funny. Maybe you won't find it funny. But when I got the call about the publishing deal with Fourth Estate, I was gobsmacked, right? Because it was
Yeah.
Fourth Estate. I couldn't believe that I was being published by such an incredible publisher. And my agent was like, "Are you going to tell your parents?" And I was like, "No, we're going to sign the contract, right? So I know it's happening. It's legally binding. We've signed the contract, and then I will tell them because the last thing I want to do is tell them I have this thing, and then for some reason it
It
disappears,
doesn't
right?"
happen. Yeah.
So we signed the contract. I get the confirmation, and I'm like, cool, now I can tell them. So I called my mom, and it was like pandemic times because it was the summer of 2020, and I wasn't able to go home because we weren't allowed to like travel.
Mm.
So I had to call them. So I'm calling my mom. She picks up. It's like a Saturday or whatever. And I'm like, "Oh, mom, is like dad there?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, he is. What's up?" And I'm like, "Could you put it on speakerphone, please?" And she's like, "Okay, is everything okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Just got some news. Don't worry about it." She's like, "Oh, what have you done? What's wrong?" And I was like, "No, don't worry about it. Just like put it on speakerphone." So she goes and finds my dad, puts it on speakerphone. He's like, "Hello, son. What's up?" And I was like, "Okay." Right, I've got some news, and I'm like so excited, and I've got it. I'm like got my headphones in, and I'm like pacing my room, and I was like, "Oh, I sold a book. Like I'm an author. I wrote this book, and someone bought it, and they bought it for like way more money than I thought it would. I thought it would sell for like £5, and it actually sold for like this much money." Um, And like it's so exciting, this dream has come true. Ah, and then there's like silence. And I was like, hello? Hello? Can you hear me? As the signal dropped, hello, shall I move around? And my mom's like, no, we can hear you. That's nice.
Oh
And then my dad was like, do you get all of that money now? And I was like, oh no, it's
no.
like in chunks and it comes over years. And he was like, oh, okay, okay. And then my mom goes, anyway, your sister, she just bought a new car. You should talk to her about it. I'll go get her. And then she goes and gets my sister and is like, Kasim wants to talk to you about your car. And then my sister talked to me about this new car she'd bought. And I was like,
Not even, hold on. So not even like you need to talk to your sister and tell her about your deal, but I'm gonna put your sister on so she can tell you about her new
about
car,
her car.
not
And then
about
so my
you
sister's
and
like,
your amazing book deal.
so my sister then, I mean, like she, in her defense, she didn't know what happened. So she's like, "Oh, I bought this car. I'm so happy. Oh, like it's got like a touch screen and it's got 6 gears." And I was like, "I'm so happy for you. That's so cool.
That's great.
Like,
Yay.
great." And then before I could tell her about the book deal, she was like, "Anyway, I have to go. I'm gonna go drive my friend around in this car." And she hung up on me.
Oh, do you celebrate
So
before I ask you yet about who will make, but do you celebrate your moments like
um
with
I I
yourself, with
I
your
find
friends?
I find it very difficult to actually because I'm always a little bit worried that it might not happen, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, it does.
I am always like a little bit worried, but I try to. I try to. Um, so, we had a book launch for the first book and the second book. I invited like my friends to both of them. That was really nice. And yeah, like when certain things happen, um, yeah, I'll get myself like a little cupcake or something. Be like, yay.
I'm glad you get something. I'm glad you do
Just like a
something to
little.
celebrate.
It does come really hard to me. It does come really
Yeah,
hard to
I'm not
me. And
surprised. I'm not surprised though.
oh yeah, I've given too much of myself
No,
away.
no, no. But I mean, if you're constantly that, if your family, if those around, those who shape you aren't celebrating your moments, or not even like encouraging your moments, or not even appreciating why you find joy in your moments, then it will probably have an effect later on about how you choose to celebrate things.
Yeah, it is. It's like one of the things that I'm working on myself now is trying to celebrate my birthday. So my birthday is at the end of August, and when I was growing up, we never celebrated it because my parents would say, we need money for like school uniforms, right? So we don't have any
Oh,
money for your birthday. We don't have time. You're right at the end of August. You're like a week before school starts. We need to figure all this stuff out. So we just never celebrated it. Um, and what I would see is like my sisters and my brother, they would get like big birthday parties for like, turning 10, turning
the
13,
moments. Yeah.
16, 18. Yeah. And I would get nothing. And I'd be like, oh no, it's fine because like it's cool, it's cool. And then when I was about, I think I turned 25, maybe. And my friends were like, why are you not celebrating your birthday? And I was like, oh, it's like the school thing. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I
Your
was like, yeah, it's
prime
like this.
your prime birthday my younger brother's birthday is the 25th of August. And I always used to be not jealous of it, but his is a fun birthday. Mine's end of January. It's freezing cold. No one wants to go anywhere.
Yeah, August
His
is
is this.
wonderful.
You have the bank holiday weekend. It's always around the bank holiday weekend.
Yeah,
It's
mine is
prime
too. Mine
celebration.
is
Yeah.
yeah. So like I just had this thing in my head where I was like, you don't celebrate your birthday because of the school thing. And then obviously I'm 25. I'm not at school anymore.
No,
Like
you're not.
I haven't been at school for a very long time. And I still find it really difficult. But when I turned 29, I took myself on like a solo trip to Italy for like 4 days. And that was so cool. It was like
I
one of the
love it.
coolest things I've done. And I was really nervous and I was really terrified, but then I was also like enjoying it so much. And I had so much gelato and I kept walking into this gelato shop and this like old Italian lady wouldn't speak to me. But then I walked up to her once and I was like, your gelato is tutto bene. And then she got so excited because I'd speak in some Italian. Um, and it was like great. And so I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to get like way better,
Oh,
like actually
that's a
celebrating
good
my
way to
birthday.
go. Gelato in
Yeah.
Italy is a good way to go. All right, Kasim, I'm going to ask you, would you like to tell the listeners about your book, Who Will Remain? And then I've got 2 questions to ask you following on from that about your book.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. Of course. Of course. Of course. So Who Will Remain is it's about this young man called Ahmed who is like 20 years old, second year of university, and the previous summer his girlfriend broke up with him because her family was sort of moving to Edinburgh. And this sort of affects him quite a lot because he thought they were going to get married. They've been together since they were 15. But to her, she's like, we were never going to get married.
Oh,
um,
God.
yeah, it's like, but again, it's like, drawn from real life. Like I've seen that happen to a lot of people,
Mm,
men especially. And at the very beginning of the book, his cousin, who is the same age as him, is killed in a gang fight. He's stabbed to death. And so that coupled with the fact that his older brother, who is like the good son, went to university, did philosophy, knows how to speak Urdu, is like has a very good relationship with the parents, he's like getting married to the perfect woman, right? She's Pakistani, she's Muslim, she's from around the area, she's also well educated, has a good job. These three things happen in quick succession. And so then he sort of, in an attempt to wrestle back control in his life, decides that he's going to sell drugs. He's going to get money by doing that because he doesn't have money at the moment and sort of become like a bigger man and become somebody to be respected.
mm,
And so it's sort of about examining what makes a young man, a specifically young man, make those choices and what happens to the people around him when he does make those choices and the consequences of those sort of start coming down the line. And I wanted to explore like family relationships and like leaving your place, but also not leaving it. Um, and I think like exploring I think there's like a real terror in young men today, and like I think they're all like kind of scared, but they don't show that as fear, they show that as anger and like
yeah.
violence. um and they just comes out to the people closest to them, and they end up doing like terrible things. And so I wanted to explore all of that too. And so yeah, that's kind of Who Will Remain is about, and it's set in Alum Rock, which is where I'm from, in Birmingham.
Okay, so my 2 questions about the book are, did you face any challenges when writing your book?
Yeah, I the thing is when you're writing a book like this, you're very aware, or at least I hope you are very aware of the responsibility of like trying to represent your community, right? So you don't
Mm,
want people to think, oh, he's just selling out to like the sort of white understanding of brown people.
yeah.
All the men are violent, they're terrible people, etc. But then you also kind of want to be truthful, right? You kind of want to be
Mm,
truthful about what is happening in communities like my own and to those young men there and the choices they're making. So you have to try to balance that. And for a while, I was balancing it in a way where I was trying to make it sound as if like nothing was too bad. And so when I was reading it, it was really mild. It was very,
mm,
you know, bad things would happen, but then, oh no, don't worry about it because everything is good. And it just started to feel so inauthentic to me and started to feel like boring and not real. And I sort of had to like go back and rewrite the whole thing, which I did like 6 times trying to figure it all out, really. Um, about like, this isn't about, I'm not trying to prove to the people who already think that Pakistani men are terrible, that they're not terrible. I'm trying to write something that is truthful about some of the things that young men are going through today. In order to do that, I'm going to have to write something that isn't very nice. I'm going to have to write
yeah.
something that is kind of ugly and dark sometimes. And, I know that's like a hard it's like a hard thing to do, but I really wanted to. And I don't know. I haven't had much feedback from people in Alum Rock. But maybe one day they'll read it. Maybe when the paperback comes out and it's a bit more accessible price wise, maybe then
Yeah, they'll come
I might
they'll
hear
come to
back
you.
from them.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Thank you so much for watching this clip from the Conversation podcast. If you'd like to see the full episode, you can watch it right now here on my channel. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you'd like to catch up on more conversations, you'll find them linked on your screen now. And you can also listen to the podcast on your favourite platform. See you there. Bye.